When I started off my sales career, I made a lot of mistakes. And one of the mistakes that I made was that I only focused on one contact. I didn't want to step on people's toes. I didn't want to hurt people's feelings. And then I assumed that this person is the best person to carry the deal when oftentimes they weren't and my deals would collapse. I didn't understand multi-threading, but today you're going to learn everything you need to know about multi-threading, what it is, why it's so important, and most importantly, how to do it. We're going to give you some action-packed takeaway, and Amy Hrehovcik is going to lay it all out for you today. It's going to be a good episode. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And my guest is Amy Hrehovcik. Now, Amy, she is a sales enablement expert. She has carried the bag as a sales professional, worked in large organizations, closed many different types of deals, has over 10 years of experience, and she has helped other teams to be able to progress to the point where they got acquired. And Amy has built out the sales enablement process in multiple organizations. So she brings the understanding that we need for someone to be able to dialogue and to explain to you what multi-threading is, why it's so important, how she's going to do it. And we're going to do it in that order as you listen to the episode. Now, Amy, she is no small fish, man. Amy is a big deal. I mean, Amy has been in there, the running for Nobel Peace Prize and all that amazing stuff there. Actually, she hasn't, but let's pretend she has been. And the reason why I say this stuff is because I'm really a big fan of Amy. She has a podcast as well, and I highly recommend you go back and listen to it. I put a link down, and it's going to be in the show notes. The podcast is called Revenue Real Hotline, and I've been able to be a guest on that show, and I would love for you to go back, check out Amy's podcast, tell her that you heard her here. But most importantly, tell her that you understand the concept of multi-threading even more so now, even if it's one thing you took away from this episode. When you go into this, you're going to hear the what, you're going to hear about the why, and then you're going to hear about the how. So let's go see what Amy has to share and see how you can take this stuff and apply it to your career. This is multi-threading. People have heard this term, and it's something that some folks are probably on here and like, I have no clue what that is, or I've heard of it and I don't know what it is. So let's talk about it. We're going to go deeper into that and the hows and all that good stuff and the whys, but what exactly in it? I'm just started in sales last week and I have no clue what this is. I'm thinking about is this a type of shirt, how I sew clothes, multi-threading? Come on.
Yeah, it's the merch will also be linked in the show notes, so we can support it there. No, multi-threading is just a term to describe liaising with multiple different stakeholders and executive sponsors throughout an organization. And I think it was in the Challengership sale many years ago, they spoke about the average number of buyers involved in the buying motion at being like 6.7, something like that. Jeez. That number has increased, as well as the average buying time. And multi-threading, it seems counterintuitive, right? Bringing more people into the buying, onto the buying team. But it works in the opposite manner, and they help deals to kind of stay on the rails and move quickly and close, and so those win rates stay high. Important
these days. Why do I need to do it? And maybe you could give me an example, set it up of how working with somebody, one person organization could be catastrophic for your deal.
Sure. I'm not to use a stupid cliche, but I'm going to anyway. But it's just this idea of putting all your eggs into one basket. And here's a perfect story. So when I started to really get into measuring the actions that I was taking during my deal and what was working and what wasn't working, I realized that my deals that had more than one executive sponsor were moving quicker, and they were closing at a higher rate. I created a checkpoint really in my deals where I would not do a group demo, like a deep dive demo, right? This is not like a quick spin through the product high level. We're talking about getting everybody in a room, and going deep into the product after a very rich and thorough discovery period. But what I realized was that when I held off on doing that demo until I had at least 3 executive sponsors, invariably, well, the psychology of it, when you think about like an expensive tech purchase, there's a lot of risk involved to the buyers, right? And there is, we get a bad rep in tech, and specifically on the implementation side of things, for good cause, right? And there's a lot of buyer's remorse. But most importantly, the thought that I was always thinking was, help me look good in front of my boss. And so knowing that there was risk involved by being the only neck on the chopping block, if one were to purchase a tool and then have that tool not like stand up after the fact, by bringing in additional executive sponsors, I was able to diversify that risk. No longer did that executive sponsor feel alone in this acquisition, because their peers from other departments, whether it was marketing, whether it was business development, whether it was a practice area lead that was responsible for bringing in more clients, they were not alone at that table. And the second piece about it was through the buying process, again, which is taking longer and longer these days, by invariably somebody was going to drop out, right? As is almost always the case. But by having 3 executive sponsors at the table with their teams, when that one executive sponsor did drop out, there were still 2 that were very, very eager and excited to see the deal forward. And I'll add one thing, Donald, when going through the discovery period with my buyers, we would talk price, obviously, and the buying process. And I would drop the main number or the range. However, what I didn't remind them of in that moment is that when there's more than one executive sponsor, they're able to split the budget or split it against a group of people. And so when it came time to sign the paperwork or go into the actual, what money is coming from which budget, it was always a surprise to the buyers that here was this number that they had been thinking about and had been planning for. And now all of a sudden it's a third of that cost, or at the very least half of that cost. And that I found to be a great motivator at the end that really kept people from, walking away from the deal. But again, because it was happening.
How? And let me preface it this way, because let's say I'm an executive buyer, and I do want to win in this one. I want the W here. I kind of did some research and see that there's some opportunity here. I want to be able to lead the pack, and I want to be able to be the alpha on this one, and not to have my colleagues steal my thunder, so to speak, that I did this job. And I'm prideful, and I want to be able to say that I did I got Amy and this wonderful company to the table so I can look good to my boss. I want to be able to control it and not have the salesperson do that. How do you best work with an individual like that to multi-thread, to help them not feel like you're trying to step on their toe or go around them? Am I making sense on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the
and by the way, I'm not like that. But
oh, I know. Yeah, no, it's an important thing. So the how is very important, and I learned a bunch of tactics, a bunch of different hows that I would apply in different instances depending on the situation. One that comes to mind is the ability, or I would communicate to the original executive sponsor, like, listen, this is an expensive proposition, right? Information. And I want to help you make the right decision. And one of the ways that I can do that is to help demonstrate the business case for you internally. By getting a better understanding of the current state of how, we're operating this particular process, whether it was open up new opportunities with clients or whatever. And so I would ask permission, right? It's very uncommon to have you, executive sponsor, be the only one that is struggling with this particular, business problem. It's pretty real in many ways. And I would get permission to go and speak with others that may also be experiencing the problem. And by doing that and framing it in that way, it was, I found it was better received because I was offering to do the work for them.
Amy, if folks out there listening to this want to get in touch with you because they feel that they're now kinship, they grew this great kinship with you, how did they go about doing so?
The best way to reach me is absolutely on LinkedIn. I'm very available. My last name, even though there are an excessive amount of consonants, so good luck typing it in. But if you are able to get it right in the search box, I should pop up and reach out at any time. I'm delighted to help and to give back in any way.
Oh, suck it now. Amy brought some good stuff there, man. And if you haven't done so already, please go to LinkedIn, connect with Amy, tell her that you heard her on the one and only, the Sales Evangelist podcast with your buddy, my good friend, yes, my brother, your brother, Mr. Donald C. Kelly. Now, and that's me, so it's kind of weird talking about yourself in third person. But here's what I want you to do, though, for real. Connect with her, tell her you heard her on this podcast, and also connect with her podcast. It's a great show. She brings on amazing guests, and she has some phenomenal information, and it's going to help you. If you like my show, I know you're going to like her show as well. The other thing I want you to do, if you haven't done so, go back to our show notes and check out our sponsors, because they're giving you some deals, and this is stuff that I've pre-negotiated with them. I told them, if you're going to bring stuff to our community, I like your products and your services, but I want you to make sure you're giving my team a good deal and my listeners. And they said yes. So I want you to take advantage of the offer. Please go ahead and do so. Even if you try for just 1 month, see how it can best help you. As always, I bring on these guests. I share this stuff with you because I want to help you. There's four main things. I want you to find more of your ideal customers. I want you to find them. Find your ideal customer wherever they are. I want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. And I want you to close more deals. But most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking every single day and go out and do big things. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.